Hey, welcome back to another deep dive into Columbus here, as we're going to dive into some deep data and really focus on a couple neighborhoods today. Before I do that, I'm here with Nick Gerli with Reventure Consulting. And if you caught our last interview, we did a big overview of Columbus as a whole. I highly recommend you go back and watch that if you're just tuning in for the first time, and you can kind of get an idea of what Nick can do for us and kind of the data that he's all about and can share, and just his knowledge base. It's just amazing. So first of all, thank Nick for taking the time to do this. And I think you guys are going to appreciate it, especially if you're looking to consider Columbus, moving to Columbus or moving within Columbus, of areas that you're like, want to save or just want to know about, home values and about what's going on in Columbus, kind of the trends and really the data. We're going to look at the data instead of just what the emotion or the feelings may be. We're going to actually get some numbers on it. So Nick, thank you for coming.
Yeah, Ryan, thanks for having me back on. It's a delight to talk to you again. And I had a great time last time. Just to kind of summarize for everyone who might not have seen it, we talked about Columbus and all the reasons why Columbus is a top investment market, top real estate market in the United States. It's a very young city, it's a very educated city, it's still affordable, and it's got a lot of growth ahead of it. So I think our conversation today is a nice continuation of that. We'll kind of zoom in into a couple specific neighborhoods to kind of apply similar methodology and figure out, okay, well, we know we want to be in Columbus, where are the best areas to be.
And we hit on a lot of the neighborhoods last time. So if you want just a general overview of the neighborhoods, again, check that out. But today we're going to really deep dive into two of the most popular neighborhoods, the Short-north and Grandview. Two areas that are located close to, really in between, Ohio State and downtown, making it just a really, kind of cool, but just a lot of shops, environments, restaurants, things like that. So a lot of access to the city, but still having some space to grow in.
Yeah. When I moved to Columbus in January, I think I did the thing that most out-of-towners do, and they just moved downtown because it's the first thing they think of. Within like a month, though, I feel like I realized I made a mistake that I should have moved to either Short-north or Grandview.
Yeah.
It's where all the action is. That's where all the vibrancy is.
Yeah, I think that's a great place for us to start on doing a deep dive into these two neighborhoods. Stay tuned. We'll do other neighborhoods in Columbus. If you want to know about other neighborhoods, we will produce more videos. But also feel free to reach out to us, myself or Nick. We'll provide some information for you here at the end to reach out to us to get more information. But without further ado, Nick, let's just dive into it. So
yes, I'm gonna share my screen over here so you guys can see what we're working with. Let's see. All right. So here's just a map of Columbus in all its wonder. And you can see basically the orange highlighted areas are Short-north and the green highlighted areas are Grandview. This area right here would be downtown. So just to kind of get your bearings if you're not as familiar with the locations. And these are two of the more high-priced housing neighborhoods in Columbus. So if we go over here, this map overlays median home value on all the census tracts in Columbus. And census tracts are just each of these each of these boxes. It's how the US Census keeps track of population and things like that. So the darker the red, the higher the home value. And you can definitely see that there's a good cluster here of high home values. You go further out into the suburbs in Upper Arlington, you head up into Dublin, you go to New Albany, you go to Powell, you get even higher home values, bigger homes. But this just gives a really good summary of how the home price picture looks around Columbus. Kind of continuing, this is looking at every census tract ranked by its median home value. So this would be the most expensive one at $565,000. The average in Columbus is about $194,000. 90th percentile would be about $340,000. So, you can see that Grandview has a census tract that's way above the 90th percentile. We got Short-north. We kind of continue down. and these neighborhoods in the green and orange are popping up quite a bit.
Each neighborhood is divided into several census tracts. So those are.
Yes, exactly. So I should.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Clarifying that, Ryan. Each neighborhood probably has 5 to 7 individual census tracts that comprise it, which is why you see multiple ones.
Yeah, which if you drive any city, each neighborhood, it's different sections of even neighborhoods are different. So, Grandview.
Exactly. I mean, right. You can go 5 blocks in one direction or another. You'll still technically be in the same neighborhood, but it'll feel different.
Yeah.
That's kind of the use.
You're really scaling. You're really pulling back and getting deep here. So I like it.
We are getting deep.
Exactly. And these are all Columbus census tracts. So the grays are other Columbus census tracts.
Exactly. I think Columbus might have 350 total or something like that. And about where the Grandview and Short-north census tracts stop, right around the average, and then you go further down and there's no more. So these two neighborhoods are on the upper crust of home values in Columbus for sure.
Yeah.
Now, good question is kind of, well, why is that the case? I mean, if you're from Columbus, you'll take it for granted and say, yeah, I just know that these are good neighborhoods.
Yeah, you see what Zillow says they're worth and they're expensive. Great.
Right, but like, why is that the case? One of the reasons is, one of my favorite metrics to look at is college degrees as a percentage of the population. So Metro Columbus has about a 40% college degree rate. So that'd be 40% of 25-year-old people and older have a college degree. You can clearly see in these neighborhoods that the numbers are way higher than that, almost double, around 80%. So these are really well-educated neighborhoods. The people that live here are often have a bachelor's degree, maybe they have a master's degree or a PhD. They're kind of on the upper crust of society, the movers and shakers, the type of people.
Yeah. Which makes sense because you're essentially in walking distance of Ohio State, one of the largest universities in the country. So, which is right.
Exactly, right. So yeah, maybe back 20, 30, 40 years ago, as these neighborhoods really formed, I'm sure you're right, Ohio State's presence probably had a large impact on this. But so by and large, the college degree rates are all high here. You'll see that these two tracks here are a little lower. We'll talk a little bit more about them as we go along. But one of the fundamental reasons that these are such good areas to invest is because there's a lot of just educated people that live here. And then typically with education comes income. So this map looks at median household income. So this tract here in Southwest Grandview, median household income of $122,000. That's one of the highest in Columbus completely.
Yeah.
We'll see more variation here though than we saw college degree rates. So we go from 122,000 income to 82 to 65 to 47. Even in Short-north here, we have 17 and 22, likely because the people living in those tracts are college students. So students typically don't earn.
Probably is one of the reasons why the percentage of education is down too, is that they're probably not completed their education yet. They're probably in the midst of it.
That's a great point. They don't have their degrees yet. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell there's a correlation there, lower college rate, lower income. But median household income in Columbus Metro is about 60,000. So by and large, these neighborhoods are above average in income as well. And that kind of leads me to my next point. So when you're buying a piece of property, one of the things you're really concerned with is security. Like, I want to buy a piece of land, or I want to buy a home, I want to buy a condo, and I want to feel secure that the price I'm paying today, it won't go down. It'll go, definitely won't go down, and hopefully it'll appreciate a lot in the future.
Yeah.
You can kind of combine college degree rate and income into what I call safety score. So if you're in a tract with high college degrees and a lot of income, nothing bad will ever happen to that census tract. Like, you're never going to have really a value decline. And so I kind of combine those metrics to get safety score. So these metrics are out of 100. The higher, the better. The darker the red, the better. And if you're buying a property in this tract in Southwest Grandview, you're going to feel pretty good that the price you pay, you're going to get all your principal back.
Yeah.
Sell it, and you're going to probably make money on top of that too.
Yeah, I love this idea of the safety score, because it's a question I get all the time as a real estate agent is, is this a good investment, as a single family home? And, it's, as we know, and as you'll learn, if you don't know yet, that single family homes are a way of building wealth, and how the majority of Americans have most of their wealth in their single family home or in other real estate holdings as well. And so this is just a great way of saying, even if you're paying more for an area, the value is going to stay up there. So basically all you're doing is setting that money aside in a bank that's going to appreciate for you at a pretty consistent rate. So it's a pretty, like you say, the safety score, it's a pretty safe bet when you're moved to this area.
Sure.
That you know what your value is going to be over the life of that time. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, of course, everything depends, as I'm sure you know, Ryan, like on the person's preferences individually. But, if there are budgetary constraints, right? And but like if you can stretch a little bit and just be in that area that's more secure, like you said, it might be a worthwhile thing to do. Yeah. From a financial perspective.
Yeah, and that's, unfortunately, some of the barriers of building wealth is that, if you have money and you can get in these areas, that, it's a safe place to be and you're going to generate wealth. But it is a barrier just to get in there, which is part of the reality.
Yeah. And so, we got pretty safe tracks here, Southern Grandview, here in the center of Short-north, Victorian Village, Italian Village. Closer we get to university, though, the kind of, maybe the more the safety score goes down, and that might be counterintuitive to some people. I mean, I guess theoretically, Ohio State University at any time could come and expand their campus and offer you a boatload of money for whatever you own next to it. And that's always a possibility. Yeah. But from a fundamental perspective, these metrics are lower in these parcels because there's just less degrees and less income. Yeah. The fundamentals. Yeah.
The metrics that you're using, are there. This is what it's showing, which is still a fair, a good way to assess it. And Ohio State right now could also say we're going to scale back. So the opposite.
Yeah, that's a great point, right?
As they go online,
could scale back. Yeah. And that's why kind of fundamentals like income are really important in assessing a neighborhood.
Yeah, and you have an organization like Ohio State that dictates that versus just the general demographic supply.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. But it's these census tracts still have quite a bit going for them. They actually have better growth potential than, say, this tract here in Grandview. Okay. Let's get into that. So there's 3 principal variables that I think determine how much an area is going to grow. First is what I call the millennial share. It's the percentage of the population between 25 and 44. So, in this tract here, there's 2,700 millennials, 7,200 people. That's a 37% millennial share. Go over here, 68%, 2,500 divided by 3,700. The reason millennial share is important is because millennials are the trendsetters. Yeah. They're the ones who dictate hipness, coolness, attract retailers, new restaurants, new apartment buildings. They have the highest consumer spending. Yeah. Millennials really influence kind of what the next areas are going to be. And they kind of perpetuate growth. So this tract out here, which we determined was highly educated and really wealthy, actually has a low share of millennials, likely because it's older families that live there or retired people. So while that's a great area to invest, it's probably not cool, right? It's not hip. It's never probably going to be that, nor does it maybe want to be that. But you go into these tracts here in the center of Short-north, and you get 60% millennial shares. Now, Columbus's metro average is 30%. So these areas are double the concentration of millennials compared to the Columbus average. And so that means a really vivacious neighborhood with a lot of vitality. I actually work in a co-working space in the Short-north, and step outside every day. There's just always people walking around. There's a new restaurant every other week. Yes. Type of neighborhood. Yeah. And then we go here, and these 2 tracts, which were lower income, lower degrees, actually are lower millennials. Similar reasoning is that it's just a lot of college students, 18 and 24-year-olds.
You don't realize that college students aren't millennials anymore.
It's funny, right? I'm going to have to update the terminology millennial share in 15 years when the 25 to 44-year-old population is, I don't know, what do they call it, Gen Z?
I think something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah. I'll have to
We'll have to
update
correct
the
that.
name. But the next thing to consider is what I call momentum. So how much have these areas grown in the last 10 years? Because growth has a momentum to it. You know, as new buildings go up, people take notice, new developers take notice, more buildings go up, there's more attraction, there's more notoriety. So this measures the percentage change in households from 2010 to 2020. So what that means, in this tract in Grandview, there was about 2,000 households in 2010, 3,300 in 2020, that's 68% growth.
Yeah, the Grandview Yard building there was, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Nationwide did all that, all those new developments of apartments.
Grandview Yard, and it's just it's a whole neighborhood in itself, and it's really neat what they've done. They're continuing to build some really nice spaces there.
Yeah, and so that's giving you new apartments, new people in the area. It's also giving you tons of locational amenities, right? So they built a new grocery store there to service Grandview Yards. They have all these new shops. And so if you own a home on one of these streets here, you can go to LA Fitness now. You have a new grocery store to go to that you didn't have before. Your home value is going to go up because of that. Now this tract here has only grown by 3% in households, likely because it's a more suburban, bigger home, bigger lot size neighborhood. They probably don't want to allow any new building. So there's just less growth.
More your old established homes.
Yeah, which, hey, maybe that's good for appreciation in the long run, less new supply, but you're not going to have as much growth. So like this tract, it's not cool, it's not young, it's not really having new development either. Now we go to these parcels here in Short-north, the ones that are low income, low millennial, they have had a lot of growth. So that's good. So, households in this parcel or this census tract went from 670 to about 1,000. That's 52%, 32%. So these areas have really good growth momentum going for them. And then the final piece of that is density. So population density per square mile. The denser a neighborhood is, the better for growth. Hey, maybe COVID is changing some of these realities. I'm not so sure, but generally speaking, this is true. So the more people that live there, the more people that need retail services, the more new development that there's going to be to service those people, the more likely someone is to know a friend that lives in that neighborhood. So the more likely they are to visit that neighborhood, which is important because it keeps the neighborhood in the front of mind. So these parcels close to campus are really dense population per square mile. You go further west into Grandview, the density goes down, the lot sizes get bigger. Kind of putting these three metrics together, millennial share, momentum, and density, you get what I call growth score. So, So growth score, kind of you're seeing almost the inverse of safety score. So while the parcel was the safest, it has like the least growth opportunities, whereas these two were the least safe but have the most growth opportunities. And you can see by and large, this whole area has good growth opportunities. So these numbers were benchmarked to Columbus as a whole. So these aren't just saying growth scores relative to Short-north and Grandview. These are growth scores relative to all of Columbus. And they're all pretty much in the 80th to 90th percentile. Yeah,
it's definitely an area that's, as you can see, is going to continue to grow. And it's interesting how the area over the the southwest area of Grandview there has a low growth score, but it's probably a more predictable area. I feel like those are areas that if you want predictability, go to somewhere that, has that safety score, high safety score.
High safety score.
Yeah, but, maybe not so much a growth score.
Right. You can take this area to the bank. safe to
Yeah.
me.
Like I said, you
You're
put your
feeling
money in
good.
there.
Like the analogy you gave, it's a bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Money there, forget about it.
You're probably going to get in Columbus, a 5 to 10 appreciation
Yeah.
rate.
Yeah.
Depending.
And hey, and maybe, this area could still appreciate a lot.
Yeah, I mean, 5 to 10 is still is above the national average, and it's
Sure.
a good average.
But if you want, if you maybe don't have the money to be in this neighborhood right away, or don't want to be in this neighborhood, and you want to, I don't even want to call it speculative, because investing anywhere
Yeah.
is a good idea. But if you want it to be a bit more speculative, you would, target maybe the lower safety score, higher growth score.
When I talk to investors in Columbus, I tell them, you really can't go wrong anywhere in Columbus, but
No.
you can also, you can be better. There's areas that are better.
Yeah.
This is a great way of saying, not only if it's you're a pure investor, but if you're looking for a single family home to live in, you got to actually understand the logic behind that as well, as saying, okay, is this, the question I get all the time, is it just a safe place? Is it, am I making a wise decision? This can help you understand that decision.
Exactly. Like you said, most people are buying homes not strictly as an investment, but to live in. But it's the biggest financial decision someone's going to make, right, in their life. So it's really worth knowing.
Yeah, the majority of Americans, the majority of their wealth is in their single family home.
Right. It would be like, people who, give your money for someone to invest in stocks, right? Like that person wouldn't just pick a stock and put their money there and not scrutinize like all the characteristics of it and determine, its soundness. So, by and large, look at your home, buy the home that, feels right for you. But then also make sure you understand all the dynamics of what's going on around you, how it relates to everywhere else in the city. I do also just want to re-echo the point you made just about, there's nowhere in Columbus that's a bad investment, in my opinion. I have a model that ranks cities based on their growth prospects, and Columbus is number 6 in the US, higher than cities like San Francisco and Portland and Minneapolis. So, Columbus has a lot of growth that's going to benefit everywhere in the city.
Yeah, I agree.
And just one additional point I want to make here is that there's a couple tracks which kind of have the elusive combination of safety and growth.
Yeah.
So you have this big one.
Actually, both. Yeah.
Grandview Yards is, and then you have kind of the center of Short-north. They score highly on both metrics. So that's kind of like everything you would ever want in terms of investment and appreciation potential. So those would be the census tracts that I would prioritize buying in.
If you were looking at buying, if you said, okay, where should I narrow it down to? If I'm looking at both these areas, what's the safest and most predictable, but also a good return that could have a huge return with growth. Those areas, I think really any of these areas aren't, like you said, aren't bad, but those areas would be ones that to really hone in and target on if you like these areas and you're looking for just a better return.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really excited to apply this methodology to other.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by these other neighborhoods too. So I'm looking forward to the next next videos.
Next iteration.
Yeah, and if you guys have neighborhoods or just information that you want us to give you, feel free to reach out to us. Reach out to myself. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and I'll link my information to the bio page here. And Nick with Reventure Consulting, he can be reached. I'll put his email out there as well. But share us any other way that is best to reach you.
Yeah. You can reach me by email at nick@reventure.consulting. You can also go to my website at reventureconsulting.com. You can see all the kind of data and services that we provide, and feel free to reach out.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of that. And if you have a company or just need data yourself in anything, we're obviously focused on the kind of deep dive into these neighborhoods and some residential stuff. But if you need data on all different kinds of things that you may need on. So I'll reach out to Nick. He can provide that.
I have a lot of data.
Yeah, he's a lot of data. So this is just the surface of what he can provide.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time. And again, I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, Nick Gerli with Reventure Consulting. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you out any way we can.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.